everyone, are you there? Hello, can you hear me? Just kidding. Today we're here with Justin Pearson from Def Club. They are described as punk and thrash and grind, and it is a in your face fucking, I don't even know like how else to explain it. It's such a fantastic album that makes me just want to like go constantly. Um, Dude, what a great album.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Um,
Well,
I oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I tend to think that it's not great, but that's I mean, I think it's I don't know. There's a couple good tracks. So there's stuff that I don't like. But I think that that's bound to happen with I don't know. Yeah. I think it's better to be critical of your own stuff, overly critical than like think your shit doesn't stink.
That
So
is,
anyhow,
that's
I
a fair
appreciate
statement.
yeah, I
Right.
appreciate what you said though. I really do.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Because so often we talk about like the great things of the album. Which songs do you not like?
I mean, I I think that like a lot of bands get comfortable with like their sound or whatever, and they kind of are able to emulate what is I don't know, maybe like what gets a good response. Where I think that with me or especially specifically with Def Club, like we're not really thinking what will the listener want, but we're more thinking like what do we want? And so there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens or that we tried that maybe didn't like work out as expected. So I think like the opening track, Nihilism for Dummies, is the best song on there, but it's like the least normal or least hardcore or punk or what thrash, whatever, because it's got this like pew 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 like laser sound thing happening, which is just like feedback through I don't know, some kind of pedal configuration that Brian came up with. But it was like funny when we like made it, and that became the song that I think stands out, at least for me. And then the closing track, End of an Ear, is also like one of my favorites, which is a total departure from like hardcore. Like to me, it has like this, and I hate using these terms, but like very San Diego sound. Like it definitely has like a Drive Like Jehu feel to it, which embodies like more like post-punk kind of stuff, like less less brutal m music. But I think like some of the like even those are my two favorite songs of the album, I think. But even like I think that structurally little tiny things could have been better. But it is what it is, and that's just how it's gonna be. So, you
No, I
know,
think that's fair though, right? That you can at least look back at it reflectively and say, it maybe not overall this song, but the way that we built it, or we could have changed this to make it better. I think for an artist, right, that's a really cool thing to be reflective because then when you go to write the next EP, album, single, whatever, it gives you like, hey, we know this doesn't work. This is what we're gonna build on, right?
sure. Or I think like, if we were like uh, an artist that was able to not have regular jobs and not do other things, where we just like demoed it and then sat with it and then built from there. Or if we were like, I don't know, Metallica, you can hire 12 producers, and like everyone comes in and says like don't do this or do that, and then you have like, but it's just us and like an engineer and a mixer, someone that's like engineering it and mixing it after the fact. There's not a whole lot of like, oh yeah, you could do this differently or something. So I think that it is what it is. But also like I think some of the best music in history has been created, in that way. And I guess that's something that you just have to kind of live with. There's flaws in it, and that's fine. It's very rare that I'll say that's a flawless record. I have said that before about stuff I've been part of, but it's very, very rare. So
Yeah. Well, and I think like to your point, I think the most creative music or the better music is, I don't want to say it at the beginning of someone's career because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, later on in the career, but it's when they feel they have complete control and they don't there's no boundaries, right? Like, oh, it has to sound like this, verse, chorus, verse, right? Whatever that is. And I mean that's why I think that's why a lot of people really look at the underground, because the underground is where You're pushing the boundaries. Essentially, the fucking next wave of whatever is
Mhm.
coming from here because we're we're not afraid to create, you know?
Well, you have less to lose, where like if you're a major label band or you have to like kind of cater to a major label or to, I don't know, your fan base or whatever, I think you are gonna have to like fit in these confines of like what is accepted or expected. Where like if you don't have anything to lose, like no one, if I mean, Def Club can't lose a whole lot of fans because we don't really have a whole lot. So it's like whatever, we'll just do whatever we want and like roll with it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Like if we look at bands like Deftones and Metallica, just like you said, like look at their careers. They have always I don't want to say like Metallica kind of reinvented themselves, right? But Deftones have always like every album has a very it's when you hear a song, it's this era of Deftones, and their
Mhm.
fan base has done nothing but grow, right?
Yeah.
Like specifically, if you look at like Saturday Night Wrist, which is a departure from everything else they had done previously, it's like holy shit. And
Yeah.
it built the fan base. But I think it's also important for a band. Like if you come out and you have this sound for two or three albums and then you change the fan base, that's where the fan base goes, oh, I'm not really into this because we've been AC/DC for three albums or whatever that is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I also think that maybe, and I've never been on a major label, but I know enough. But I feel like major label will pick a single, and that'll be like the whole focus of that album. The rest is kind of just like whatever, and they'll just kind of focus on one track, which seems odd to me. But I think that is how a lot of major labels will function with their artists. Like this is the one song. The rest is just filler of the album to sell it as a commodity. And I think now with like streaming and stuff, that's become more, uh, I guess, obvious to an extent. So there's that. But also, I think like maybe we saw it. I mean, I think like I'm old enough to see like the sort of journey of Metallica start like going from good to bad, and I think that that's you know, fine for them and they could do whatever they want. But I do see like some bands kind of derailing themselves or losing it and then trying to like people will call it reinvent or like maybe circle back and grab the thing that they originally had, which is like gone. Um I that's a whole like other can of worms, I guess, because you have
Yeah.
to be around for 40 years to be able to get to that point. But people
Well,
argue,
yeah.
yeah. People argue like, Cliff Burton passing away is the reason why Metallica sucks, and it could very well be the reason. Yeah, anyhow,
Yeah.
on that note,
Well, yeah. And to that, right, you could also argue like maybe Cliff would have got on board with the way they were going also,
maybe,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah,
we and we can theorize about what that looks like, but regardless, Metallica is Metallica,
yeah,
like whether there's a lot of albums we don't like or vice versa,
yeah,
like they changed the game for a lot of people, and I think at
yeah,
this point they've really broke a lot of the glass ceilings that especially heavy bands back in the 80s and 90s never thought, hey, one of us is going to be selling out stadiums around the world. But no, that's neither here nor there, right? Because we're not here to talk about Metallica. We're here to talk about fucking Def Club.
thanks.
So I do want to say, I really think it's funny that you picked out the two songs that also they're my favorites.
Huh,
The way the album starts and the way it finishes is like I'm old, right? So I always try to look at the album as a whole. I'm really interested in how it starts, how it finishes, and how each song transitions to the next,
of course, yeah.
right? Like if we don't have that, it's kind of back to what you were saying about focused on singles.
The singles and also too, like I think when you look at the like linear perspective of an album, the starting and the finish, but also the side splits are important too for when you're listening to vinyl. Like those are whenever I'm like recording an album, I'm always like, where are the four tracks that will be records? And I think it's important, and I feel like it should be. I mean, it sounds like silly to say this, but I think it should be a journey from one end to the other, and it should say something and be something and have dynamic, kind of like a live set where you like have, you don't want to shit the bed. You want to be able to do the things, come out hard, keep people there, let there be some time to breathe, hit them again, like, the thing, and then wrap it up and have there be like a sort of audible conclusion, I guess, to the record. So I think that that's important. And that's also like part of my favorite aspect of like writing a record is like putting the song structure, sequencing it is, I think it's
Yeah.
cool. um, yeah, what goes together is important.
And you nailed it, right? I'm a big vinyl
Oh,
guy too. I,
thanks.
I see your like collection, and like that transition from side A to side B is like, if you don't have a good transition there, the listener goes, ah, whatever, on to the next thing, whatever. And, the something maybe not a lot of people think about is like how it ends. If you can go right back to the beginning in it, is like, oh, that's like the grail.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and also too, like I think with the kind of music that Def Club is, a lot of the stuff in the middle is, um, I don't want to say like technical because my ability of like what a technical band is, like I don't know, like early Dillinger Escape Plan or something, like that's technical. But there are like the more like kind of confusing, jarring time signatures and stuff kind of in the middle. So like it starts off with a very, I think, sort of simple structured song and ends with one too. But in the middle is where like the kind of complexity is, or like the, I don't know, the meat or the girth or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you take a listener up, you're like, here's where we are. Hey, cool. I'm gonna set you down nice and calm,
Yeah.
you know. I th Again, right? Like those are literally my two favorite tracks for those reasons. Like I think the beginning track, it gets you ready for like what's to come, and each track builds upon that. And at the end, you're just like, oh, okay, I dig this.
Thanks. I mean, I guess it worked. It's rare to hear to hear that kind of feedback. Usually it's like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Well, you've got I listen to a lot of I guess I'll say noise, right? Like I love noise bands, and to be right here with this, like I fit you in with two of my favorites right now are Bad Wires and Miracle Blood. And both of those bands they're fucking phenomenal, dude. They like put on a great show, they put out great music, and it's at times it's jarring and abrasive, and other times it's just fucking like you're like, what is going on here? I
Mm.
can't even catch all the things. So, like, honestly, to take those three bands, put you on a bill, I'm fucking happy from start to
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of times people are not necessarily versed in, and I mean, I think the term noise gets a bad rap, where like it's not like the notation is discordant, or there's like extra elements added through pedals, or I don't know, synthesizers or whatever you want to call it. And then it becomes something that's like unfamiliar. And so a lot of people might not really like or acknowledge or appreciate that. And I think it's interesting because those sort of like discordant notes or tones are equally as effective in creating a mood or a vibe or something. And I think that's a thing. Um, yeah, I think that a lot of artists that can do it tastefully and do it accurately it's cool. And for me, like a lot of that stuff came from like electronic music and stuff where it was um just like strange notations or strange effects added to whatever the song, whatever the notes were, like if there's an extra layer to kind of like, I don't want to say disguise, but it doesn't sound like a typical guitar, a typical bass. It sounds like something else. And then it becomes like, oh, it's noise, I don't that just write it off as that. And I think it's cool if you can articulate yourself, at least for your own self. Maybe maybe the audience won't get it, but if as long as you're doing it and you know what you're doing, then I think that's cool.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it kind of goes back to like looking at like early days of like Skinny Puppy, right? People were
of
like,
course.
what in the hell's going on here? And now they're like, oh my God, Skinny Puppy, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's like,
Yeah.
I love them. They're the best thing
Yeah.
ever. But,
And that's
it,
an interesting thing too, because I think like especially in like the world of metal or something where there's like triggered drum sounds or drum tracks, I think that a lot of that comes from bands like Skinny Puppy or Ministry or something where they were like sequencing like where it was it's electronic music. And so we've like sort of merged these like worlds of music. And I see why people do it. And I think it's effective in a sense. And we have the technology and a lot of people are talented enough to embrace these elements. So yeah, I mean grabbing like the like strange sounds of I guess what would you call it? Industrial music, and making that
yeah,
more like rock adjacent or hardcore or punk or metal or whatever you want to adjacent, I think is like an interesting thing.
yeah. It's, I think now uh, we're more in artists are more likely to grab elements from other styles and bring them in. And I think that the public as a whole are more willing to hear, mixed genres. I mean, you
Sure.
you remember 80s and 90s, like if you listen to metal, you listen to metal, you didn't listen to punk, and vice versa. And now Motorhead, right? Of course, the ultimate like crossover band. They really started to bring everyone together, 70s, 80s, and to see those elements now combining and coming out, deathcore, metalcore, all this shit mixing the hardcore elements. It's really cool. Like it's really cool for I think us older folks, at least for me, to go to a show and to see like the crowd so mixed with punks and metal kids and hardcore kids and everyone just there like enjoying the music, you know?
Of course. Yeah, of course. And even like, I mean, I don't want to like riff on, well, actually, I would like to riff on Metallica again for a second because like there was that clip where they were playing the Fugazi song. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like,
No.
it's the bass player now, or whatever, I forgot his name, the guy that was in Suicidal.
Rob
And
Trujillo.
yeah, and then Kirk was like playing, but like the bass player was playing like Waiting Room or something. And then Kirk was like all funky and like fucking it up. And like but it was interesting because I was like, who knows? Like obviously I think that the bass player, being in suicidal and stuff is like in the realm of like Fugazi or I guess more so probably Minor Threat or something. So you would see like that sort of connection where I mean I don't know what Kirk Hammett is into or whatever. But it was just interesting to see like that because you're like, oh, that's like one of the like most massive, mainstream rock bands perform, jamming out to like Fugazi. That's and Fugazi is huge, but like it's not like they're jamming out to something obscure,
Right.
but it's still like an interesting to see or to have them acknowledge, I suppose. And then again like look and I guess also too their brain they took out suicidal tendencies on tour, so it makes sense. But there is like that kind of like paying respect or something to things of the past that maybe were influential to create whatever it is that they're doing now.
Yeah, and it does make you wonder, like, how many people in that audience knew what Rob was
Fugazi
playing,
was. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, even for me, like as a little kid, I would see I would see like pictures of Slayer and see Kirk Hammett's or sorry, Jeff Hanneman's guitar with like all the stickers on it would be like, obviously you would see like a Dead Kennedy sticker or whatever it was, but then like seeing like PIL or something, you're like, that's pretty weird, in the realm of like like you could understand like metal being like cool with punk, but like post-punk is like another step away. And to me, it all made sense. But and
Yeah.
also to me, that was like a signal. Like I like Slayer and I like PIL, and it completely makes sense for me to listen to both those kinds of bands. Where like maybe someone that wasn't as open to that might not, grab onto the other side or whatever. So I think that's cool. And I think that if it wasn't for little things like that for me, like growing up as a kid, maybe I wouldn't have ever like experienced other types of music or mixed genres of music because then eventually, however many years down the line of a musical career, you start spewing out things that are, you know, seeped in the DNA of different kinds of genres or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So,
Yeah, it's really cool like to see like the evolution of music and going from, you know, like those early days of Slayer. You know, Slayer was that and they are one of my favorite bands. You know, like I can always put them on and I'm always happy listening to them. And I was so bummed when they, you know, went on fucking like, oh, we're retiring. I'm like, no.
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not really super happy that they were like, oh, we're gonna come back and play some shows. Like, you
Yeah.
retired, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see you, but you
Yeah.
retired. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, and for them to like pay homage to a lot of like older bands on shit, what was the album they did? It was all covers.
Oh, the punk cover album that they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
I think
But
that
yeah,
like opened up a lot of metalheads to punk, which also helps, you know, helps that like crossover thing. And now maybe we're more open with our conversation musically, but you go to a show and you talk to a metalhead and you can talk about punk or you can, you know, talk about other stuff. And people today aren't afraid to say, yeah, I'm a metalhead, but I also listen to pop, you know, if that's what I'm into or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah. I remember when I was, I guess I was 14 and I went and saw Slayer play, and I remember sitting in the lobby. I guess they had like stopped playing the set, and it was before the encore, and I was sitting in the lobby trying to figure out how I was going to get home, and people and like some of these dudes were like giving me a hard time because I had blue hair and I had an SNFU shirt on, and of course they called me fag and stuff, and I was like, whatever, it's just I felt like I deserved to be there. I liked Slayer, and I would, I was fucking 14. Like, give me, give me a break,
Yeah.
like whatever. And then fast forward, like, I mean, I play music with Dave Lombardo, so jokes on them. But like, it was kind of interesting to like have people, that were there to be just shitty to me for being a punk. But I don't know if that would happen necessarily anymore. I think maybe times have changed.
I
Yeah,
think for the most part times have changed, but I'm
yeah, of
sure I assume that it probably still happens somewhere.
course.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
everything does. It doesn't happen in my world,
yeah,
thankfully, right?
yeah,
Like sounds like it doesn't happen in yours either, which is, you know, leaps and bounds from when we were kids, because it was exactly that. Oh, you got a fucking ring in your nose? What's wrong with you, kid?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like
Well,
whatever.
that's a good example too, because I was like, I love I out of I love the band Phantomas a lot, and the Locust, we toured with Phantomas, and it was so fun to like see. And I feel really bad for Dave because I think the metal world is like not as open to being experimental and stuff. But
Experimentation.
yeah, and it was amusing to me at the time to see Phantomas performing and the metal people in the crowd and Dave, and I was like, damn man, this is like, I mean, it was like funny. There's a part where there's like he's playing these like chimes, and this dude in the back, this is in Phoenix. I remember this the first night of the tour, and this dude in the back just goes, "Pick it up, Lombardo," and you kind of just see like Dave tense up, and I was
Like
like,
what the fuck?
I know, but it was amusing to, to an extent, but I was like, fuck, I wish I'm glad I'm not Dave, because I know how he feels about that shit. But I thought it was cool that like he's a great person to talk about as far as like an innovator of music and an innovator of sound and like redefining genres or like experimenting with different genres. And I think people like that should be able to, when you're like that talented that you can play all kinds of music, you might as well do it, and appreciate other kinds of music. So I think I just went off on a tangent, but yeah,
That dude, that's okay. It was a Lombardo tangent, and I fucking love Dave. Like
yeah,
he is one of my favorite drummers.
yeah,
I could watch him play like in any of his fucking projects. I used to listen to what was that one film, I think.
yep, yeah,
I fucking used to listen to that album fucking constantly. People are like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Dave Lombardo, dude. Like fucking listen. Just like
yeah,
pick it up." I actually when Mr. Bungle and Melvins toured t in 23, I flew out to LA to see that fucking show. So, in all fairness, one of my favorite bands did a few shows on that run, Spotlights, and
Oh,
they opened at the Palladium, and I was like,
yeah.
I'm fucking going. I am not missing this. I love Melvins. I love Spotlights. I love Mr. Bungle. This is going to be great. And I don't think there was one person, like everyone went there because they knew this is going to be fucking weird, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's just fucking great. Ah,
That's a good realm to be in, when you can achieve that and you know, get to that capacity of like we're just going to be bizarre. It was great for
yeah.
sure. I mean, when the Locust and Phantom Moss tour, there were some of the dates were with Melt Banana, and that was it. It was like it was just bizarre shit all night long, and I thought that was great. Um, with the exception of the couple metal dudes heckling Dave,
Yeah, they're
but
like, I came to see Dave, dude. Fucking just
yeah, yeah,
double bass. It's all I want. It's like, dude,
yeah,
there's more to music than that, right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like I can only imagine how Mike Patton felt like as he started to like break out and do, Secret Chiefs and Phantomus and fucking everything else that he does. I'm sure so many people were so hesitant, but like, fuck, as an artist, don't you just want to create whatever you create?
yeah. Well, I agree, and I think that that's cool. But a lot of times people will go into it saying like what is acceptable or like how do you write a song that's going to be successful, and I've worked with people like that, and it's kind of a bummer. I don't want to do what is necessarily successful or what is expected. I want to do what like is fun or interesting or challenging to me, and just leave it at that. And I just yeah, it is what it is, and I get like if that's their agenda to do what's a successful move, then I get it, or like the song structure has to be this way, and you're like, it doesn't really, as long as
Right.
like you enjoy it and it makes sense to you, then that's all that really matters, unless you're doing it to make money. So with that being said, I think it's clear that I've chosen the path that does not make money.
I don't know, man. Like it seems like you're doing fucking pretty good. Like
Uh, Yeah, I'm on EBT and I don't have a car anymore. So like yeah, it is what it is.
you're doing great. Fuck.
But
You have a house.
yeah, I do. I have a house. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not trying to be I'm grateful for what I do have. But I do think that like at some point I could have chosen to do like the thing that would have made sense financially, and I chose not to do that. Or maybe I didn't choose it. I just decided I felt comfortable doing the opposite thing. So
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us do. We're like, oh, I can do that and make money. Fuck you. I'm doing
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
struggled for so many years and thank God for my wife, like taking care of me, I'll say, like if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be fucking homeless. It'd be fantastic. So where did the whole like Def Club um come from?
Um, well, the initial thought was so I had done this film score project with Nick Zinner from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and it was called More Pain, and it was really it was for this movie about witches that surfed, I guess, and it never came out. But the music that we made was cool. It was like just pretty average thrash music, and so at some point Nick and I decided, oh, we should maybe put a band together of that music because he wrote all the music and I just sang on it. And so I kind of tried to organize a band with some players, and then Nick ended up bowing out of it, and I realized that we only had like under 2 minutes worth of music anyhow for that score, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to do that. And so just like by having me and Brian Almofatato and Scott Osment in the same like room, or not room, we weren't even in the same room, but same like idea like to write music, that kind of became Def Club. And then so it just kind of went from there. And then I think musically we've grown, because if we look at the first EP and then our first LP and to now our second LP, it's definitely gone. And there's a linear like sort of progression of stuff. But yeah, so it was basically trying to start out as just like sort of more simplistic thrash, I guess. Now it's whatever you want to. I don't even know what you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's genre defying is what it is because there are a lot of elements in there that you could pick out like, oh, that is a grind element, that is a thrash element, this is the punk part of it, like and going back to what we were saying earlier, that's the really cool thing about music today is there are so much you can cram so I don't want to say cram so much in it, but you can create and use the elements that you enjoy out of all of these different fantastic fucking styles of music, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the things that, like all of what you said, is I think very, it's very interesting and obvious. And also, like if you consider like the Def Club record, it is very dense, and so there isn't a lot of like I feel that maybe when you're listening to it, it might be, I don't know, like it might not be as comforting or like familiar, like, oh, it's thrash metal or it's punk or whatever, because it has all the things, but it is so much like there's like so much information that it's hard to kind of um
Sort
I don't
through it.
know. Yeah, I guess so. But then like I don't know, like I always joke and say like what people say, what kind of music do you play? And I say annoying, and I joke in a sense. I mean, it is annoying, but I think that there should be a genre that kind of embraces, I don't want to say annoying, but like absurdity, or like um just kind of, I guess, because when you say avant-garde or something, you sound a little pretentious, and also like
Yeah.
avant-garde, that could be like Velvet Underground, or it could be Melt Banana. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. And that I feel like there should be like a genre of stuff, because even like I referenced Dillinger Escape Plan earlier, like I feel like that band is, and I say this in a way that I would call Def Club annoying, but I think Dillinger Escape Plan is pretty fucking annoying. Like I think it's really good music, and they're obviously talented, and I listen to it as a person who likes complicated, absurd music, and I think like, fuck, how did that get successful, or how did it get as successful as it did, or how do people accept that? And I say it like in a loving way. It sounds like I'm being a dick, but like I really
No,
do think.
it's to me like it's curiosity, right? Like because you're absolutely right. Like again, that Dillinger Escape Plan is one of those bands that have really like knocked down what what people think music should be, right? There are
Yes.
aspects in it that they challenge the listener, right? And that like you guys challenge the listener with your music. And there, like me as a fan of just music overall, there are times I want to listen to something that fucking challenges me and makes me go, "Oh, what is that?" Because when I'm challenged, it makes me like focus on the music and I'm not worried about anything else. I'm like, what's going on here? Ooh, listen to the drums. I like this tone. Why did they put this tone of the drums with this tone of the guitar? Like it fits really fucking well.
Yeah.
And like, I and Dillinger Escape Plan, I think they had this nice mix of like they fucking challenged everything. And what was the song that just like to me, the song that fucking really blew him up, like One of Us is the Killer.
Mhm. Yeah.
People fucking really ate that. But for them, also, it was the live show,
Yeah, of course.
you
Well,
know?
that's an interesting thing too, because I like, even on the flip side of that, I was in a band Retox, and we toured with Dillinger, and it was still like, I obviously Retox I think was a little bit more normal, I guess, musically, and but people didn't care. They were just like, we want the headliner, we don't really care about this shit. And I see that, and I see it like, even that band Retox open, we went on tour with Off, and it was the same kind of thing, because Off people wanted, you know, and I like Off a lot, but people wanted Black Flag, and it was like, yeah, we're just jarring and like hard, harsh, and like people were just like, fuck this. So I mean, I get it. I think even with maybe Dillinger, as like complex and as weird as their music is, the longevity of them existing, and maybe like the respect that they got from being around for so long, and their association with Mike Patton, or doing like you said, like the live performances and stuff, made them like accepted and respected. So even no matter who you are as an opener, people are going to be like, I don't fucking know what you are. I don't care. And that's also like kind of a bummer, and I deal with that all the time. And it's also like amusing at times. Like in a couple weeks, Def Club's opening for 7 seconds, and I was like, sure, yeah, we'll do that. I guarantee you, nobody that likes 7 seconds is going to be like, oh, Def Club's great. I mean, maybe they'll be like, what the fuck is this, and shocked and not hate us. But like, I doubt they're going to be like, oh my God, this is killer. Because it is uh
It's
aggressive
completely different than fucking
or
seven
fucked
seconds
up
for
or whatever.
sure.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I understand. Maybe I'm opening up this like huge philosophical
No,
uh,
I don't think so. I think you make a valid point, right? But there are also, I think, a lot of people that go to shows that go early because they do want to see the opening band. And personally, do I when I go see a band, I don't want to go see that band four times
uh,
on
yes.
you know like I
Yes.
want there to be a mixed genre build. Now I'm not talking about bluegrass and fucking death metal, right? But something that's in the realm, so to go to a 7 second show and see Def Club, for me, I would probably love the shit out of it, and I'll bet you that when you fucking go there, you're gonna get some fans.
I appreciate that and I hope so. But like I also like the fact that, there is that element of like I don't want to say confrontation because I'm not going there to like start shit, but I like just kind of fucking people up, in a musical way. You're just like, ugh, and like whatever. I think that like maybe for me as a longtime opener of bands, I'm always like, we got to make an impact, and good or bad, I'd rather make an impact because like when people are indifferent, then you kind of like fucked up. People are like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Like I want people to be like, yo, that shit was sick, or that shit was terrible. And one of the
Yeah,
two
you
is
want
good.
to evoke that fucking emotional reaction, whatever that is.
Whatever it is, yes, as long as the
Yeah.
reaction happens. I've spent most of my musical career or whatever in that position where it's like, oh, let's make these people bummed out, and not like in a malicious way, because out of like, especially playing like, let's say we're playing to like 5,000 people, and if there's 40 people there that are like, holy shit, that was amazing, then that's awesome. That's a huge feat or a huge success to have like that kind of impact. Because I've had like fucking crazy shit happen, like where like the police would escort us out because the audience wanted to kill us, and I think like that's a thing that's like I've accomplished something great. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually I was talking to a buddy, this is probably a few months ago. He was talking about they were down in Colombia maybe, and they get escorted to the club, and everyone at the club, including like the cops, are like, "Hey, as soon as you're done, leave your shit, get in the car and get the fuck out of here." And they're like, "Why?" It's like, "Because it's gonna get crazy." He's like, "What do you mean
Whoa.
get crazy? Like curfew. We're gonna fucking force everyone out and there's gonna be violence. Like, so leave your shit and get the fuck out." Like, what?
Whoa.
What?
That's crazy. Yeah.
How fucking wild is that? So what is like what's the craziest like live show experience you had? Is it where you had to get the cops to escort you out?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of crazy ones, but I think one that like sticks with me, and I didn't even really like realize it at the time, but yeah, the Locust did a tour with the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and it was in the UK where people wanted to kill us. And not even like we didn't even do anything because we don't even speak to the audience or anything. We just played music, but it was really, really violent. And there was one night where it was like people were chucking like full pint glasses of beer at us, and it was pretty bad, especially if like a pint glass like hit you. That didn't feel too good. The beer sucks or whatever, but like getting hit with the glass was a bummer. And like and yeah, and Gabe, our drummer, puked all over the floor from like playing super hard and like the tension and the aggression, I think, came out. And so I remember like I remember them the show stopping and people were yelling at us that we had to clean up the vomit. But then the police were like, "We got to get you out of here right now. People are like, they want to kill you." And I remember just like getting escorted out and taken away, like right away, and not really understanding what happened until we were fully out of the venue. And they're like, "Yeah, you would have caused a riot if you guys would have stuck around." And we're like, "What the fuck?" Like we just played music and like, but I think that the fact that like maybe everyone hated us and then gave vomited and stuff like that. It just made it more intense. So yeah, that was always crazy. But there's been like countless times where I'm like, this is insane shit. Surprised, I don't know. Yeah, humans are weird. Humans are weird,
Yes.
and I think maybe yeah, I don't have um yeah, I think that like anything could go. I guess like the craziest shit has sort of subsided in this part of my life. It usually followed the locust or other like maybe some girls or something, all leather, whatever, like earlier stuff that I did. But in the last 10 years or so, I think it's been less violent, which is great because I don't want to die.
Yeah. Well, the older you get, the more you're like, hold on, I don't know that I really need that in my fucking life, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yes.
you know, the drama you have in your 20s is not the shit you want in your life in your 40s. Like, nope.
Yeah, and sometimes I did egg people on, but for the most part, I think I was just being me and doing what I do musically, and that was causing a reaction, which I don't think um, necessarily meant like, hey, you should be violent towards us. It's like we're just playing music, and you're acting like a fucking fool. So it is what it is. Like just really crazy shit, like fighting, getting maced, getting bottles broken on our heads, like bar stools thrown at you, like people trying to fight me afterwards, slash our tires, like just it's just crazy shit that's like happened. And I guess yeah, I'm grateful that doesn't really happen as much anymore or at all. I mean, the sort of negative aspects I think kind of end up resulting on like YouTube comments or something, which is fine. I can handle that, but like which also like at the same time I'm like, say that to my face, dude. Like that seems like kind of like a cheap way to be a dick. Like, would you say that to my face? I doubt it. Or if you would, I would give them more credit.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's one thing to be a keyboard warrior, but if we can have that conversation, it's a whole other world, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So are you guys planning on taking Def Club on the road?
Yes. Um, we have been. We're about to work with a new booking agent and stuff, so hopefully there'll be stuff following the release of the album, which is September something.
Sep
So hopefully, yeah,
19th.
yes. So hopefully
Well,
the
so I say that on Bandcamp it says the 12th, but the release says the 19th.
okay. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll have to let the label know. Um, I think that the last US tour we did was a bit of a drag. We toured with Greg Puciato's solo band, and it was not very well received for anybody. So that was like a hard one to do just because it was like we probably should have not done that tour, but it is what it is. And so yeah, I think we're due for a full US tour.
Yeah, let's get you a full US tour with Better Lovers. I think that would fucking go over
That
great,
would that
dude.
would make more sense musically for sure. Yeah, I think Greg would probably agree with that as well. But yeah, or whoever. I mean, there's a bunch of bands out there that I think might be make more sense, especially like in the realm of like maybe 31G and stuff, because we're always talking about doing stuff with stress positions or haunted horses or fuck money or I don't know any of the other acts that are like kind of like on our level of stuff, like think it'd be cool to do that, like a package that made sense, of
Yeah,
weirdo. Yeah.
dude. I'll tell you what, like you can pass the booking agent my info, and if I can help you get a show here, I'm fucking into it.
Cool, thanks.
We've actually got like we have here we've got Magbar, which is it's not big at all. It's like I think 100 cap or 85 or something.
Whoa.
But Metal Monday at Magbar that's fucking that's where you want to play. Like
Yeah.
for first couple of times in town, it's a built-in fucking crowd. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
especially in venues that are small like that too. You have the the intimacy factor is like just cranked up. And I think that's cool to share that energy with people in a live setting because if there's a barrier and people don't give a fuck about you, it just makes it a little bit more awkward and not as special or not as enjoyable. So
yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird seeing Terror with Obituary. I mean, not weird musically. Like I think that went over really well, but the weird thing was the venue was like prepared for Terror and they
oh yeah.
moved the barricade further back. Like
But
he's like, we don't want to deal with a bunch of people jumping off stage, which, I understand from a security standpoint, but at the same time, like this is a Terror show. This is what they fucking do.
of course, and I get it. I mean, maybe that should have been thought out in advance, but it does take away from like an element of what the live performance is.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's that whole energy, dude. You get it, everyone's get it, you know, a part of it. It instead of being I'm here watching a band, it's I'm here for an event that I am
Yeah.
a part of, and it changes the entire energy of the fucking room.
Yeah. Well, that's I think also like a realm in the realm of like hardcore, where it does make it like you do need to have that connection with the audience, blur that line of like stage and audience and make it one thing. I think that's cool. But when you start mixing with like a band like Obituary playing like where was it like House of Blues or something, they're worried
It-
about like lawsuits and stuff,
yeah,
and it just
yeah, fucking Live Nation.
yeah, don't get me started on that one. But
Yeah,
yeah, it is a thing. It's a thing. Um, so yeah, yeah.
hell yeah. So, do you have multiple variants of the vinyl? I know you have the opaque, like screw gray color. Uh-oh.
You there?
Yep, there you are.
There you are. Okay. Um, there is a silver variant that's like the Southern Lord one. There's a clear one that's the 3-1G1, and then when we do tour, there'll be a red one, which is like the band variant. So yeah.
Fuck yeah,
So,
that's fucking cool.
yeah.
Because I'm that guy, right? I'm that guy that goes, I like this fucking album. Oh, there's three? I
Yeah.
gotta have, collect them all. Like,
That's
fuck.
not intended necessarily, but I get why people do it. I'm also a person that does that stuff too. So.
Fuck. We'd probably be rich if we didn't buy a bunch of records, huh? Oh shit. That's fucking great. Justin, dude, thank you. I've had such a great time like chatting with you. I think
Thanks, man.
this went over well. I want you to come back now, like fucker.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I have seen a few of your podcasts with some of my friends and stuff too, and I was like, that dude's rad. So I'm psyched that you had me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Who did I have on that you know?
Well, you had stress positions. That was like the last one, right? Did you do that one? Um,
No. Uh-uh.
fuck. Okay. Maybe I'm fucking
Oriska
up.
was the last one. They just came out today, I think.
What was it?
Oriska, they're a North Dakota like post black metal band.
Oh, okay.
But I released three a week, so
That's so crazy. I do a podcast and I do maybe 3 a year.
oh, I've got
Uh,
another one that is on that level. Like I'll do like just a couple a year for one of my other businesses, and it's like this. I'm just so fucking. I just have always loved music, so I'm like I'm gonna nerd out as much as I fucking can.
yeah, that's awesome.
It's good
Um, I
shit.
have this, I have this police helicopter like circling my house right now. It's like super jarring. I just keep hearing. I don't know if it's like messing everything up, but I just keep hearing like them yelling. Okay.
I hear
Uh,
nothing.
I I live in a sketchy neighborhood, so like there's that happening.
But you know what? So funny. I live in an okay neighborhood, but everything
Uh,
around my neighborhood is sketchy as fuck.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like whatever. It's all right. So what I'll do when we get off here, I'll make sure we're fucking connected on Instagram at least,
Cool.
and I'll message the band the email for Metal Monday because
Okay.
like
Oh
legit,
yeah.
you guys have to fucking play there.
Okay.
I gotta see it. It's
Cool.
it's fucking dope.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I think we're our announcement with the anniversary group is the press or the booking agency is happening on Tuesday. So he's already just started working on the we fired our old agent. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Um
Yes,
and
let's get you
then also
fucking
too,
out.
like whenever this comes out, just let me know and I'll try to wrangle Southern Lord to help push it and stuff too. So I think especially in like the metal world, it probably will be a good that will be a good angle as well.
Agreed. I'll like when it released, I try to like post like in the story on Instagram with a link to the fucking episode and tag the labels and the
Cool.
band and any
Cool.
members and shit.
Awesome. Rad.
Hell yeah,
Well,
dude.
man, I
Thank
appreciate
Nah. I fucking appreciate you. I like
Cool.
seriously, I've had such a great time. Like it's nice to fucking like really nerd out about music and not just like one thing, like
Yeah,
to be able to go kind of deep on shit is nice.
of course. And yeah, I mean, I don't, how old are you?
49.
Oh, me too. So for me, I remember growing up and I was like really into breakdancing. And then I got into like Aussie and like metal. And then I got into punk. And then it all was like a thing. It all made sense to me. And that was like when the first Beastie Boys record came out. And then that had Kerry King on it playing guitar. And I was like, oh, it's all there, you know? So I think that like, and I also growing up in San Diego too. And maybe it's similar in where you live too, but like we didn't really have like a specific scene, so everything kind of like went together and became one thing. And I think that that really helped me at least.
For
Um,
sure. I actually grew up in Detroit, so I was,
oh yeah,
I got to listen to a lot of like Motown and see the mix of like Motown and like the gritty rock and the punk and shit like that. So I do think that really helped like shape my taste. Like my first concert was fucking Michael Jackson on the Thriller tour.
oh,
So
you saw
like,
that?
oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I had
I
tickets and
was
he canceled it in Phoenix where I grew up because it didn't sell enough, so he canceled it. But I was like, dude, I'm fine with it. But
yeah,
yeah,
no, but damn it, that like that
yeah,
would have been fucking dope. Yeah, that's why I think part of the reason why I'm so like passionate about music and just like I want a good live show. I think people in my mind when you go to a fucking show, nothing outside of that show matters, and people are there as a collective like together.
yes,
Like this is what we need more of in the fucking world.
yeah. But I think maybe capitalism might be the reason why that doesn't work out all the time. You know, when
Partially,
you're yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for it, but at the end of the day, like I don't go to a lot of big shows. Like,
yeah,
I like the smaller shows because you go to a show. Like I took my nephew to his first show last night. There's probably 100 people there,
yeah,
and he's I don't know. He often, I think, feels out of place, but
yeah.
like there, he walked in and he's like, we left. I'm like, do you have a good time? He's like, I had a great time. I'm like, cool. He goes, but I met like 60 people and I'm not going to remember anyone's names. I'm like, it's okay, dude. You're
Yeah,
going to see them again at the next show
yeah.
and they're going to remember you.
How old is he?
14.
Yeah, that's like the shit right there. When I was 12, I met the Cramps and that changed my life forever, you know. And so it's little things like that, I think. But also like not too long ago, I think maybe right after the pandemic, I saw Kiss finally, and that was like the band for me when I was a little kid. I thought they were so rad. I think they suck, but seeing it, they're another band too that's like, we're done, we're back,
Yeah.
we're farewell, we're back. And then seeing that, I went into it like with the complete opposite of what you would go to see like a punk or hardcore show. I just went as like this bullshit commodity, like just garbage, like consumerist piece of crap. And it was
Hmm.
so funny to me. It was like amusing. Just, there was so many things. Also playing music, I have like a perspective of things where like it was terrible. but I do appreciate seeing like the different spectrums of how music is consumed, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty wild, especially when you're at like Kiss. They're a gimmick, dude. Like
yeah,
to me, that's all they've ever been.
yeah,
I've everyone's like, man, Kiss is so good. And I get it. I guess I get it. People so passionate about it. But for me, like, no.
yeah. I had like the best time laughing my ass off, and I know that that wasn't their objective, but I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't pay for it. If I would have paid for it, I would have been fucking bombed. But I was like, yeah, it was so fucking funny. There was so much stupid shit happening. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always hilarious. And then especially like a Kiss show, you get in the my favorite at something like that is watching the crowd because you've got the fucking drunk dude who's trying to sing along and he can't stand up, and the girlfriend or wife who's like, "Honey, come on," and he like
Yeah.
pisses himself. It's just like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've all been there, but Jesus Christ, like, can we do it in a small environment? Whatever.
It is true because it's like I was in the photo pit watching and I was like, this is fucking stupid. But like turning around and like looking, I could have like been just as entertained watching the audience the whole time. It just the shit that people did was just it was beyond
Yeah.
anything.
It's
But
bonkers, dude. Like those big shows. That's like the music's cool, I guess, to someone who likes it, but the the fucking crowd, dude, to watch the crowd, you're like, what do you,
yeah,
why would you think that's okay? Like, what the
yeah,
fuck is going on?
yeah,
Whatever,
yeah. Or
you know.
like you paid a lot of money to do this, like and I have an
And you're not,
advantage. My partner's a photographer, and so I got like a guest pass through her. But it was like it was crazy to like think like you guys paid like hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars for this fucking bullshit. But whatever, it's what they wanted. And that's good,
yep.
good for them.
Yeah. I wonder if they remember it the next day.
I
That's
know.
the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, dude, keep saying
All right.
this. But seriously, like I appreciate you more than you know. I would love to have you come back really just so we can fucking bullshit. I know you've got a lot going on with the PR company and everything else,
Yeah.
so I'd be interested to pick your brain on that and see how that's going for you. And
Sure.
hell yeah, dude.
And I'll keep bothering you. And if just if it grabs your attention, you want to mess with any other stuff I send you, let me know. But yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. Yeah, happy to. I'm happy to take all the music, dude.
Cool. Thanks, dude.
Hell yeah. Have a great
All
day.
right. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Yep, see ya.